In the endless dark of space, a single human ship floated quietly. It was an old salvage vessel, slow and rusty, carrying only one man. His name was Daniel. He was not a hero, not a soldier, only a pilot who searched for broken machines and lost cargo in forgotten corners of the galaxy. The stars around him were silent, cold, and far away. The only sound inside the ship was the steady hum of the engines and the occasional beep of his scanner. Daniel leaned back in his chair, tired eyes staring at the screen. He had been drifting for weeks, hoping to find something valuable, something that would pay his debts back on Earth. He sighed, wondering if today would be another empty day, another wasted trip into the void. Then, something unusual happened. The scanner blinked with sudden life. A faint signal appeared, weak, broken. Almost hidden in the static, Daniel frowned, leaning closer. His hands moved quickly over the controls. At first it was only noise, a crackle, a hiss, but then, through the static, came a voice. A voice unlike anything he had heard before. Soft, trembling, desperate, "Please, human, help. My mom fell into your trap." Daniel froze, his heart stopped for a moment. His breath caught in his throat. He stared at the screen, unable to believe what he had just heard. The voice repeated again, clearer this time. "Please, human, help us." It was not a machine. It was not an echo. It was a real voice. A young voice full of tears. Daniel's hands shook slightly as he adjusted the frequency. The sound came alive again, a girl crying, begging. Her tone filled with fear. He whispered to himself. What in the world? His mind raced. What trap? He had not set any trap, but he knew humans had placed defense nets in this region. Automatic systems left behind to catch intruders. Could it be possible that one of those nets had caught something? Or someone? Daniel felt a strange chill crawl down his spine. The voice was not human. It carried a strange echo, an alien tone. Yet the words were clear, simple, direct. She spoke his language almost perfectly. Again, the voice cried out, "Human, I beg you. My mom is caught. She cannot move. She is dying. Please, please help us." Daniel leaned back in his chair, his mind torn. This could be a trick. A trap meant to lure him in. Many stories told of alien ambushes, pirates using fake signals to catch greedy salvagers like him. He had heard them all, and yet, the voice felt real. It felt too full of pain to be a simple trick. His hand hovered over the navigation controls. Should he follow the signal, or should he ignore it and leave? For a long moment, silence filled the cabin. Daniel stared at the blinking light on his scanner. Every blink was like a heartbeat, pulling him toward the unknown. Finally, he muttered, "If it's a trap, then I'll find out, but if it's real and I do nothing, then I'll never forgive myself." He set a course. The engines roared softly. The salvage ship turned, heading toward the weak signal. The journey was not long, but every second felt heavy. Daniel's chest tightened, his eyes never leaving the radar as he drew closer. The signal grew stronger, sharper. The girl's cries filled the cabin, echoing in his head. "Help us, human, please, she is dying." Then, through the forward window, Daniel saw it. Hidden in the shadow of an asteroid belt was a ship, unlike any human design. Its surface curved like flowing silver, its lights dim and flickering. It looked wounded, broken, struggling to stay alive. Wrapped around part of the alien ship was a glowing net of blue energy. Daniel recognized it instantly. A human defense trap. One of the automatic weapons placed in this sector years ago. Designed to stop intruders. Designed to hold them until patrols arrived. His stomach twisted. The girl had been telling the truth. Her ship was caught, and inside her mother was trapped. Daniel's fingers gripped the controls. His heart pounding louder now, he whispered, "What have we done?" The girl's voice came once more, weaker now, softer, filled with despair. "Please, human, please hurry. She cannot hold on much longer." Daniel sat frozen for a moment. Torn between fear and guilt, he was only one man. He had no orders, no authority, no reason to help. Yet his human heart ached at the sound of her tears. The universe outside was cold and empty, but inside his chest burned a small fire. A fire called conscience. Daniel's eyes hardened, his jaw set. He reached for his helmet, preparing to leave the safety of his ship, his voice steady though his hands trembled. "All right, little one, I hear you. I'm coming." The salvage ship drifted closer, the energy trap crackled in the dark. The alien vessel groaned under the pressure, and somewhere deep inside, a mother cried in silence while her daughter pleaded with a stranger. And in that moment, Daniel knew his life was about to change forever. Because sometimes one voice in the dark is enough to break through all fear. Enough to start a story no one could imagine. Enough to make a human face the unknown. Daniel's ship drifted closer to the strange vessel. The alien ship was larger than his, shaped like a silver crescent, glowing faintly as if it had once been alive. Now wounded, broken, and wrapped tight in the blue energy net, the defense trap hissed with power, sparks flickering across its surface. Every crackle reminded Daniel of chains around a prisoner. His eyes scanned the damage. The alien craft was struggling. Parts of its hull bent and cracked, lights inside flickering weakly. Daniel felt a strange pull in his chest. He had seen wrecks before, but never one caught in human technology like this. This was different. This was alive. The girl's voice echoed again through the comms, shaky and full of tears. Human. Are you there, please? I cannot hold her hand. She is trapped. She is weak. Please hurry. Daniel adjusted his mic, his voice low. I hear you. I am close. Hold on. Silence followed for a moment. Then a soft sound like a sigh of relief. Thank you, human. I was afraid you would leave us. Daniel's hand trembled slightly as he guided his ship closer. He reminded himself, this could still be a trick. It could be pirates, it could be an ambush, but deep inside, he knew the pain in that voice was real. He docked his ship carefully, the magnetic clamps locking onto the alien hull with a dull thud. Sparks flew where human metal touched alien silver. Daniel suited up, his helmet sliding down over his face, oxygen hissing into the suit. The airlock door opened with a groan, and for the first time in his life, he stepped onto an alien vessel. The corridor inside was strange. Curved walls glowed with soft light. The air smelled sharp and metallic, unlike anything human. The floor pulsed faintly under his boots as though the ship itself still breathed. But weakly, like a dying creature, he raised his scanner, moving carefully. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound echoed too loudly. His heart pounded in his chest. He had trained for wreckage, not for this. Not for walking into an alien home. Then, from the darkness ahead, a small figure appeared. She was thin, fragile, her skin pale with a faint shimmer of silver, her eyes wide and glowing softly like two stars. She looked young, younger than Daniel expected, maybe no older than a human teenager. Her face streaked with tears, her hands shaking as she reached out. You came, she whispered, her voice trembling but filled with hope. Please, human, please follow me. My mom cannot breathe. The trap burns her. Daniel stared for a long moment, his throat dry. The girl was real. Alive, desperate, not a trick, not a hologram. She was flesh and blood, and her eyes carried pain too raw to fake. He nodded slowly, his voice steady though his heart raced. Take me to her. The girl turned quickly, leading him deeper into the ship. Her bare feet made no sound on the floor. Daniel followed, his boots heavy against the strange living metal. The corridor bent and twisted like the inside of a giant seashell, lights flickering overhead, the ship groaning as if crying in pain. As they moved, Daniel asked quietly, What is your name? The girl glanced back with tearful eyes. My name is Lyra, she said softly. My mother is called Soraya. She is strong, but the trap hurts her, it drains her life. Daniel swallowed hard, guilt pressing into his chest. Humans had made these traps, machines meant to capture enemies, but standing here, watching this young girl lead him through her broken home, the word enemy felt suddenly hollow. They reached a chamber, its doors half open, sparks shooting from the edges. Inside, Daniel saw her, the mother, Soraya, trapped in the glowing strands of blue energy, her tall body twisted, her skin glowing faintly silver blue, her eyes shut tight as if in great pain. The net wrapped around her arms and chest, humming like a predator feeding on its prey. Lyra rushed forward, pressing her small hands against the barrier. Though it shocked her slightly, tears running down her face. Mom, I brought him. I brought the human. Soraya's eyes opened slowly, weak but piercing, glowing faintly in the dim light. She looked at Daniel, her voice rough, broken, but strong enough to carry weight. A human. Why are you here? To finish what your machine started? Daniel felt the word stab into his chest. He stepped forward, raising his hands. No, I am not here to harm you. I am here because your daughter called me. I only want to help. The mother's gaze hardened, suspicion burning in her tired eyes. But then she looked at Lyra, saw her child's desperate face, and her expression softened only slightly. Daniel studied the trap. The blue strands hummed with power. It was advanced, military grade, not something a salvager like him was supposed to touch. If he tampered with it, Earth Command would call it treason. But as he watched Soraya struggle weakly, as he heard Lyra's sobs, the idea of leaving was impossible. Lyra looked up at him, her voice breaking. Please, human, please save her. She is all I have. Daniel's throat tightened. His hand slowly moved to his toolkit, the weight of his decision pressing down like a mountain. He knew one wrong move could kill them all. He knew helping them would make him a criminal to his own people. But as he looked at Lyra's trembling hands and Soraya's fading strength, he whispered quietly inside his helmet, "I cannot turn back now." The chamber filled with the hum of the trap, the faint sound of the ship's pain, the soft cries of a desperate child, and the heavy breath of a man who was about to change his destiny. And so in that moment, 3 lives, human and alien, stood together in the shadow of a machine built for war. And the question was no longer about survival, but about trust. Would Daniel break the chains, or would he walk away? Daniel stood in the chamber. The glow of the blue energy net flickered against his visor. The hum of the machine was steady and cold. The alien mother, Soraya, was trapped in its grip. Her silver skin scarred with faint burns, her breathing heavy, each breath a struggle, and beside her, the young girl Lyra clung to the barrier, whispering words of comfort. Her small face wet with tears, Daniel's heart pounded. He had seen many dangerous things in space. Storms of fire, pirates with knives in the dark, machines gone mad, but nothing had shaken him like this. A child begging him to save her mother, and the knowledge that it was his own people's machine that caused this pain. Lyra turned to him, her glowing eyes wide, her voice trembling. "Please, human, please free her." "I cannot break the chains, they burn me, only you can." "Please." Daniel hesitated, his mind racing. What if this was a trap? What if the moment he touched the net, soldiers poured out from hidden doors, or the alien mother struck him down? She looked strong, even in her weakness, tall and frightening with those shining eyes. One wrong choice could end his life. He gripped the tool in his hand, his knuckles white, his voice low inside the helmet. "If I release her, will she harm me? Will she harm humanity?" Lyra blinked, shocked, her face twisted with pain at his words. "No, she will not. She's my mother. She only wants to live. She only wants to take me home, human, please." "You must believe me." Daniel stared at her. Searching her face, he saw no trick, no lie. Only the raw terror of a child who had already seen too much. But Soraya, the mother, lifted her head, her voice rough, strained, but heavy with power. "Human, do not think me weak. I could end you with one strike. But I will not. Not if you show mercy, not if you choose to help." Her words cut deep. She was telling the truth. Daniel could feel it. She had the strength of a warrior. Even broken as she was, she could be deadly. But she was giving him her word, and in that moment, trust was the only weapon he had. The ship around them groaned. Sparks fell from the ceiling. The trap strained against its own energy. Warning alarms buzzed faintly. Daniel knew they had little time if patrols arrived. He would be caught helping the enemy, and Earth Command would never forgive him. He thought of Earth propaganda, the voices on every screen, telling humans that aliens were dangerous, that they would invade, that they must be stopped before they could strike. Daniel had believed it once because he never saw the other side. Until now, until this girl, until this mother, he whispered, almost to himself, maybe they were wrong. Maybe they were afraid. Lyra reached for his hand, her small fingers brushing his glove, her voice shaking but steady. "Human, you have a choice. You can leave and we will die, or you can save us. And maybe one day I will save you, please." Daniel's throat tightened. The weight of her words pressed against him, heavier than any metal, heavier than space itself. He was one man, but here, right now, his choice mattered. He looked at Soraya again, her glowing eyes dim with exhaustion yet proud, unbroken even in chains. She watched him with suspicion but also with a small spark of hope. A hope she wanted to kill but could not. Daniel lowered his tool slowly, his hand trembling. He spoke aloud, "If I do this, there is no turning back. They will call me traitor. They will say I helped the enemy." Lyra's voice broke. "Then be a traitor, be human, not machine." The words hit him harder than any bullet. He closed his eyes for a moment, hearing her cries echo inside his head, seeing his own reflection in the dark visor. Was he a savior or a fool? The trap hissed louder, sparks snapping like lightning. Soraya groaned in pain, her body twisting against the blue light, her skin glowing faintly as if the machine was drinking her life away. Daniel could not watch anymore. He stepped forward. His tool pressed against the lock node. The machine fought back. Arcs of energy lashed at him. His suit shuddered. The warning lights flashing red, he gritted his teeth. Forcing the tool deeper, sparks exploded. The hum turned into a scream. The air filled with the smell of burning metal. Soraya cried out, her voice sharp, shaking the walls. Lyra screamed, Don't stop, human, don't stop! Daniel pushed harder, sweat pouring down his face beneath the helmet. His body shaking, his mind screaming at him to let go, to run, but his heart refused. Finally, with a blinding flash, the blue strands cracked. The hum fell silent. The energy snapped and died. The trap dissolved into smoke and sparks. Soraya collapsed forward, her body free, her breathing heavy but alive. The marks of the net burned into her silver skin. Lyra rushed to her, throwing her small arms around her mother, crying loudly, "Mom! Mom, you're free." Daniel stumbled back, his hands numb, his chest heaving. He could barely believe it. He had done it. He had freed her. But then, silence filled the chamber, heavy, tense. Soraya slowly lifted her head, her glowing eyes fixed on him, sharp and unreadable. She was free now, stronger than before, and Daniel felt the weight of the moment. Had he just saved an innocent? Or had he just unleashed a danger that would haunt humanity? Trust or trap, mercy or mistake, the answer would come soon. And Daniel could only hope he had chosen right. The chamber was quiet now, the energy net gone. Only the faint crackle of dying sparks remained in the air. Daniel stood breathing hard. His tool still smoking in his hand, Lyra clung to her mother, whispering words too soft for him to hear, tears rolling down her silver cheeks. Soraya, the mother, moved slowly, her body weak, but her eyes sharp. She rose on shaking legs, tall and proud even in pain. Daniel stepped back instinctively. The sight of her free made his chest tighten. She was no longer bound, no longer helpless. She was powerful again, even wounded. Her glowing eyes locked on Daniel. For a long moment she said nothing. Her breath steady, her gaze heavy. Daniel could not read her face. Was she thankful? Or was she deciding if he should live? Lyra pressed against her mother's side, looking between them, her small voice breaking the silence. "He helped us, Mom. He freed you. Without him, you would be gone." Soraya's expression softened slightly, just for a second, then hardened again, her voice low and strong. "Human, you chose mercy when your kind showed none. I do not forget chains, I do not forget pain, but I will not strike you." Daniel nodded slowly, relief mixing with fear, his voice calm but firm. "I only did what was right. You were trapped by human machines. But I am not those machines." Soraya studied him, her glowing eyes narrowing. Then she turned toward the wall where the trap had been. The damage to the ship was deep, wires exposed, the silver walls cracked, the hum of the ship weak as though its heart was fading. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the corridors. Sharp and cold, Daniel stiffened. He recognized that sound. The defense net had sent out a signal. Human patrol drones would be on their way. He cursed under his breath, turning quickly. "We don't have much time. The trap alerted my people. Machines will come. They'll finish what the net started," Lyra gasped. Her glowing eyes wide with fear, she held tighter to her mother. "No, they cannot take her again." Soraya's jaw clenched. Her tall frame trembling slightly, she whispered, "I will not go back into chains." Daniel rushed to the control panel, scanning the data. His heart sank. 3 drones already inbound, armed and fast. He had seen what those drones could do. They were hunters, merciless. They would not stop until every target was destroyed. He spun back to them, his voice sharp. "We need to move now if they find us here. None of us will survive." Lyra grabbed his arm, her voice frantic. "Then take us with you, human!" "Please." Daniel hesitated, his mind screaming with doubt. Bringing them to his ship was madness. If Earth Command saw, he would be marked forever. Branded a traitor, hunted, but leaving them here meant death. And his heart refused to let him abandon them. Soraya stepped closer, towering over him, her voice calm but heavy. "You freed me, human. Now you must decide, do you save us or do you save yourself?" The ship groaned again. Sparks rained from above, the alarm grew louder. Daniel's hands shook as he reached for his comms. He could see on his screen the drones cutting through the asteroid field, their cold lights blinking like predators in the dark. He muttered to himself, "Damn it. Fine, but you'll have to trust me too." He moved fast, leading them out of the chamber. The corridors twisted and bent, walls glowing faintly with dying light. Soraya stumbled but kept moving. Lyra held her mother's arm tightly, never letting go. The sound of the drones grew closer. Faint metallic echoes filled the air. Daniel's heart raced. Every corner could be the last. His boots heavy. His breaths loud in the helmet. Then ahead, the passage split. One side blocked by fallen debris, the other leading deeper into shadows. Daniel cursed again. "This way!" he shouted, pulling open a cracked door. They rushed inside. The room beyond was wide, filled with strange alien machines glowing softly. half dead, half alive. Daniel realized it was the ship's core, its heart, the system still beating faintly. Soraya leaned against a wall, her chest rising and falling with effort, her voice rough but proud. This ship is part of us, part of my people, but it is dying. The trap killed more than me. It killed the heart of our home. Daniel felt the weight of her words. He looked at the machines, the silver veins glowing weakly, like blood fading from a body. He could feel the sorrow in her voice, the sorrow of losing something sacred. Before he could speak, a metallic crash shook the walls. The drones had arrived, their red light slicing through the dark as they forced their way into the corridor. Lyra cried out, clinging to her mother. Daniel pulled out his sidearm, a small human blaster. Nothing compared to the drone's weapons. His voice low and steady. Stay behind me. I'll slow them down. Soraya's eyes glowed brighter. Even weak, she stood tall. Her voice fierce. No, human, I will fight too. I will not be taken again. The sound of whirring engines filled the air. Metal claws scraped against the floor. And then the first drone burst into the room, its weapons glowing, its mechanical voice cold. Target acquired. Terminate. Daniel raised his blaster, his finger tight on the trigger, his body shaking with fear and determination. Lyra screamed. Soraya growled. And the chamber exploded with light and sound. In that moment, human and alien stood together, trapped between machines built for war, fighting not for conquest, but for survival. The prison was broken, but the battle had just begun. The chamber shook with light and sound. The first drone fired. Blue bolts of energy smashed into the walls. Sparks rained down. Daniel ducked low, his blaster glowing as he shot back. The beam struck the drone's side, but it barely slowed. The machine whirred coldly, its red eyes fixed on him. Soraya roared, weak but fierce, raising her arm. A pulse of silver energy burst from her hand. Striking the drone, the metal beast spun wildly, crashing into the floor, its lights fading, but already, more drones crawled into the corridor, their voices cold and merciless. Target acquired. Target acquired. Lyra clung to her mother, eyes wide with fear, her voice shaking. There are too many, human. They will kill us all. Daniel's heart pounded. Sweat poured down his face beneath the helmet. He fired again and again, his blaster heating in his hands. One drone exploded, another staggered. But still they came, 3 more, fast and ruthless. Soraya stepped forward, her body glowing faintly. She raised both arms. A wave of silver light pushed the machines back, but she staggered after, her strength draining. She had only just been freed. She was not ready for another fight. Daniel shouted, "You'll kill yourself!" Soraya snapped back, her voice sharp even as she gasped. Better to die fighting than to be chained again. Daniel gritted his teeth. He looked at Lyra, the girl's glowing eyes filled with tears, her voice breaking. Please, human, don't let them take her. Don't let them take my mother again. The drones pressed closer, their weapons glowing. Daniel's blaster beeped, the power cell nearly empty. His choices burned in his head. If he stayed and fought, they would all die. If he ran, the drones would capture Soraya again, and Lyra would be left alone. And deeper than the fear was the other voice, the voice of Earth Command. The rules drilled into his mind since he was a boy. Aliens are the enemy. Never trust them, never save them. The propaganda flashed in his memory. Humans must protect their kind first, but now, standing here, watching a mother bleed for her daughter, watching a child beg for her mother's life, Daniel asked himself a question he had never asked before. What does it mean to be human? He whispered under his breath. Orders or humanity? Another drone fired. The blast missed him by inches. Burning the wall, Daniel raised his blaster. Firing the last shots, 1 drone fell, 2 remained, their red eyes glowing brighter, their voices cold. Terminate. Terminate, Lyra screamed. Soraya stumbled. Daniel dropped the empty blaster. His hands shaking, he reached for his toolkit, pulling out a pulse grenade. A weapon meant for machines. 1 blast could shut the drones down, but it would also overload the ship's weak systems, maybe even kill Soraya if she was too close. His throat tightened, sweat dripping, the choice heavier than ever. He looked at Soraya. She stood tall, her body trembling, her eyes locked on him. Proud even in pain, she would rather die than beg. She would rather fall than surrender. He looked at Lyra, her small hands clutching her mother's arm, her glowing eyes wide with fear, tears streaming down her cheeks. She whispered, Please, human, you are not like the others. Please show mercy. Daniel closed his eyes, the image of Earth's generals flashing in his mind. They would call him a traitor for even hesitating. They would strip his name, hunt him, maybe kill him. But when he opened his eyes again, he saw not an enemy, not a monster, but two lives clinging to each other. He raised the grenade high, his voice steady now. If I must choose, then I choose humanity. He slammed the grenade to the floor. The blast pulsed through the chamber. A wave of white-blue light ripped outward. The drones screamed with mechanical voices, their lights flickering, their bodies collapsing. One by one, they fell silent, smoke rising from their broken shells. The room was quiet again, the air thick with static. Daniel's ears rang, his body shaking. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. Soraya staggered but stood, the silver glow around her fading. She looked at him with unreadable eyes. Not gratitude, not trust, but something deeper, something he could not name. Lyra rushed forward, throwing her arms around Daniel, her small voice breaking with tears. You saved us, human, you saved us both. Daniel froze. The weight of her words pressing into his chest, he had saved them. But in doing so, he had condemned himself. Earth would know. Earth would never forgive, he whispered almost to himself. There's no turning back now. Soraya stepped closer, her voice low but powerful. Human, you chose mercy, but mercy has a price. Your kind will come for you. They will not stop. Daniel lifted his head, his eyes meeting hers. Then let them come. I would rather face them than watch a child lose her mother. The ship groaned, sparks falling again, the core of the alien vessel fading fast. Daniel knew it could not hold much longer. He looked at them both, his voice firm. We need to move to my ship. Now, Soraya hesitated, her glowing eyes narrowed. Then she nodded slowly, her voice calm. We will trust you, human, for now, together. They turned toward the corridor, the broken drones smoking behind them, the alarm still echoing faintly in the distance. Daniel walked ahead, Soraya and Lyra close behind. The weight of his choice heavy but unshakable. He had broken the rules of Earth, but he had kept the law of his heart. And as the shadows of the corridor stretched before them, Daniel knew the real war was not with machines, not with aliens, but with the idea of what it meant to be human. The corridor shook as Daniel led them forward. The alien ship groaned like a wounded beast. Sparks rained down. Every step echoed with urgency. Behind them, the remains of broken drones smoked in silence. But more would come. He knew it. The signal had gone out. Patrols were on the way. Lyra clung to her mother's arm, her small feet stumbling, but she never let go, her glowing eyes darting nervously through the shadows, her voice trembling. Human, will we make it? Will your ship take us away? Daniel kept his eyes forward, his jaw tight. We'll make it if we move fast, but we can't stop. No matter what, Soraya walked tall beside him, her body weakened by the trap, but her presence still heavy. Every step she took seemed to carry both pride and pain. Her glowing eyes scanned the walls. Wary, her voice low and sharp. Your machines will not give up. They will follow us until we are dust. Daniel nodded grimly. Then we don't give them the chance. The passages twisted like a maze. Alive with flickering lights, the walls pulsed faintly under their hands. The ship itself seemed to cry with each tremor, as though it felt the end approaching. Suddenly, the sound of grinding metal echoed from behind. Daniel spun, red beams cut through the dark. More drones forcing their way in faster than he expected. Run, he shouted, pulling Lyra's hand. Soraya moved beside them, her breath heavy but her will unbroken. They sprinted through the corridor, the floor trembling under their boots. Daniel's scanner beeped wildly, warning of incoming fire. Blue bolts shot past, striking the walls, sending silver shards flying. Lyra screamed but kept running. Soraya shielded her with her body, taking a blast across her shoulder. Her teeth clenched against the pain. Daniel's chest tightened. He fired back blindly, his blaster low on charge. Sparks burst behind them, slowing the machines for only a moment, but it was enough. They reached the docking bay. Daniel slammed his hand against the panel. The heavy doors groaned, opening slowly. Far too slowly. The drone's voices echoed closer, cold and merciless. Terminate, terminate, faster! Daniel shouted at the door, his heart pounding like thunder. Lyra sobbed, pressing close to her mother. Soraya's glowing eyes narrowed. She raised her hand, sending a pulse of energy into the panel. The doors snapped wide with a metallic scream. They rushed inside, Daniel's ship waiting like a lifeline, its dull metal frame scratched and old. But it was theirs now, their only hope. The drones crashed into the bay, red eyes glowing, weapons raised. Daniel spun, firing the last of his blaster. Sparks exploded. One drone fell. Two more advanced. Soraya stepped forward, her body trembling but fierce. She unleashed a wave of silver light. The machine staggered, crushed against the walls. Her knees buckled, but she stood tall, protecting her child. Daniel dragged Lyra up the ramp, shouting, "Come on! Get inside!" Soraya stumbled but followed, her tall frame collapsing into the narrow passage of his ship. Daniel slammed the hatch shut, alarms blaring as the docking clamps released. The engines roared to life. The drones fired at the ship. Blasts of energy rattled the hull, but Daniel pulled hard on the controls. The salvage vessel groaned, shaking free, drifting out into the dark void. Lyra cried out, clinging to her mother. Daniel gritted his teeth, his voice low and determined. "Hold on, this won't be easy." The ship spun through the asteroid belt, rocks drifting like giants in the dark. The drones followed, fast and ruthless, their red eyes cutting through the shadows. Daniel swerved, weaving between stone and ice. His hands steady though his heart raced. One drone fired, the blast grazing his ship. Alarms screamed, systems flashing red. Daniel cursed, pushing the engines harder, the old vessel shaking as though it would fall apart. Soraya moved to his side, her voice rough but strong. "You cannot outrun them forever," Daniel snapped back. "Then we outsmart them." He steered sharply into a cluster of spinning rocks. The drones followed, their sensors locked tight. Daniel watched the scanner, his eyes sharp, then suddenly cut the engines, the ship drifting silent between two massive asteroids. The drones sped past, their red beams searching. Confused for a moment, Daniel slammed the thrusters. Blasting upward, his ship shot above them. He fired a pair of flares from the rear. The asteroids shifted, colliding, smashing two drones in a cloud of fire and debris. Lyra gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. "You did it, human, you tricked them." Daniel breathed hard, his hands tight on the controls, not all of them. "Hold on." The last drone locked onto them faster than the rest. It fired again. The blast struck the wing. The ship shook violently. Warning lights flashing red. Daniel gritted his teeth, his voice sharp. "We're hit, but we're still flying." Soraya placed a glowing hand on the controls, her energy flowing faintly into the systems. The alarms softened, the engines steadied. She looked at him, her voice calm but tired. "You saved me. I will not let your ship fall. We fight together now." Daniel glanced at her, their eyes meeting for a brief moment. Human and alien, bound by survival, not trust yet, but something close. The last drone closed in, charging its weapon. Daniel spun the ship toward a narrow crack between two huge rocks, his voice sharp. "If we're going down, we're taking it with us." The drone followed, too fast, too close, its red eye glowing brighter. At the last second, Daniel dived through the gap, the drone too large to follow. It slammed into the rock with a thunderous explosion, fire and shards scattering into the void. Silence fell inside the cockpit. Only the heavy breaths of 3 survivors remained. Lyra sobbed softly, then laughed through her tears, hugging her mother tight. "We're alive! We're alive!" Soraya leaned back in her seat, her glowing eyes still fixed on Daniel, her voice low, almost grudging. "You fought like one of us, human. Not like your machines," Daniel exhaled, his hands shaking on the controls. "Don't thank me yet. Earth Command knows something happened. They'll be coming." The stars stretched endless before them, the asteroids fading into distance. 3 lives bound by chance, hunted now by the most powerful force in the galaxy. And in that silence, Daniel realized something. The battle was not just survival anymore. It was the beginning of something bigger, something neither human nor alien could stop. The old salvage ship drifted into the quiet stretch of space, the asteroids fading behind them. The engines low but steady. Daniel sat in the cockpit, his hands still tight on the controls, his heart still racing from the chase, his eyes staring into the endless black. Behind him, Soraya rested in the narrow seat, her tall frame bent slightly from exhaustion, her silver skin marked with burns from the trap, her glowing eyes half shut but still watching. And beside her, Lyra sat curled up, holding her mother's hand, her face streaked with tears, but her eyes shining with relief, for the first time since the signal. Silence filled the ship, not the silence of fear, but the silence that follows survival. Daniel removed his helmet slowly, his dark hair damp with sweat. He leaned back, whispering to himself, "We made it. Somehow we made it." Lyra looked up at him, her small voice soft. "Human, you saved us. I will never forget. My people will never forget." Daniel forced a faint smile, though his chest felt heavy. "Don't thank me yet, Lyra. We're not safe." "Not even close," Soraya straightened, her glowing eyes sharp, her voice low but steady. "He is right, the machines may be gone, but your people are not blind. They will come. They will hunt you for what you did. They will not forgive." Daniel nodded. He had known it from the moment he touched the trap. He was no longer just a salvager, no longer just a man drifting in space for scraps. Now he was something else, a traitor in the eyes of Earth, a man who had chosen mercy over orders. He turned to the screen, his stomach twisted. The comms panel blinked red, a signal flashing. He tapped it open. Static filled the room. Then a voice came through, sharp, cold, commanding. "Pilot Daniel Cross, this is Earth Command. We have received your ship's data feed. Your actions have been recorded. You are ordered to surrender immediately." Daniel froze. His blood ran cold. The ship had recorded everything. Every word, every action. His blaster fire, his sabotage of the trap, his rescue of Soraya, even Lyra's cries, all of it. Stored and transmitted back, he whispered, almost to himself. "Of course, the black box, it never stops," the voice continued. Harsh and unforgiving. "You aided enemy life forms. You destroyed patrol units, you have broken protocol. You are guilty of treason against Earth," Lyra gasped, her small hand clutching his arm. "They want to hurt you because you helped us?" Daniel's jaw clenched, his chest heavy. "Yes, that's how it works." Soraya's eyes narrowed, her voice sharp. "Then they are blind to what it means to live, blind to what it means to protect." The voice of Earth Command cut through again. "Daniel Cross, you have one chance to redeem yourself. Terminate the aliens immediately. Deliver their bodies to the nearest outpost. Do this, and your crimes will be forgiven." The words fell like knives. The silence in the cockpit grew heavy. Daniel's breath slowed, his hands gripping the seat, his mind spinning. They were asking him to betray the very lives he had just saved, to kill the girl who had begged him, the mother who had trusted him. Lyra's voice broke the silence, trembling. "Human, please don't. You promised. You promised to save us." Soraya sat tall, her eyes fixed on him, her voice calm, proud. "Do it then. Human, if you must, strike us now. Better to fall by your hand than return to chains." Daniel looked at them both, his throat dry, his chest aching. The voice of Earth Command still barking in his ear. "Choose now, Daniel. Humanity or treason," he whispered, almost to himself. "Humanity is not what you think it is." His hand moved slowly to the controls, his finger hovering over the comm switch, his heart pounding like thunder. Then, with steady resolve, he spoke into the mic, his voice clear. "No." Static filled the air. The voice snapped back. "What did you say?" Daniel leaned closer, his eyes burning. "I said no. I will not kill a child. I will not kill a mother. If that makes me a traitor, then so be it." He slammed the comm switch off. The voice cut to silence, only the hum of the ship remained. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, she threw her arms around him, her small voice breaking. "Thank you, human. Thank you." Soraya's gaze softened for the first time, her voice low but heavy with meaning. "You risked everything for us. You are no traitor, Daniel Cross. You are more human than your command will ever be." Daniel sat back, his chest heavy, his future gone. Earth would hunt him now, every patrol, every ship. He had traded his home for 2 lives, but deep inside, a strange peace settled in his heart. Lyra looked at him with hope, her voice quiet. "One day my people will meet yours, and I will tell them of the human who saved us. I will tell them you showed mercy, and maybe then there will be peace." Daniel stared into the stars. Endless and cold, but no longer empty, he whispered. Then maybe it was worth it. The old salvage ship drifted into the unknown, carrying a human, an alien mother, and her child. 3 lives bound by trust, 3 lives hunted by Earth, 3 lives that had begun a story greater than war, greater than fear. Because sometimes the bravest act is not to fight, not to follow orders, but to choose mercy when the world demands cruelty. And in the silence of the void, Daniel Cross knew humanity had just taken its first step into something new.